Before listening to this exciting episode, you should know who made this episode possible, and it's Anchor. Anchor is a podcast listening and making app, and here are some benefits of it. It's free, it has all the creation tools that will help you record and edit your podcast. It distributes your podcast to almost all the important podcast listening apps, and you can also earn money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So download Anchor and enjoy podcasting and the interesting episode. Hello everyone, it's your host Brahma here on the show I Got This Today, and I welcome you to one more brand new episode. And after a bajillion of years, I bring you the podcast review episode back. In our most viewed episode, podcast review episode is at the top. The podcast review of the podcast Beerbiceps has been watched by the most people. So I think you love it. So I have brought you one more. And today's episode I gonna review for you and bring the longer and deeper content in easier and shorter form in front of you. The episode is of the Ranveer Show podcast again. I have already linked the original episode in the description, so watch it too. Maybe after hearing the original one, you process something different, which would be better for you, but you can get a summary of that episode here. After listening, I divided that episode in few segments. So let's take a look segment wise. And the episode we are gonna review is with Ryan Hoover. So first, who is Ryan Hoover? Ryan Hoover is one of the most respected and valued person in tech space. He was the founder and CEO of the Product Hunt. Product Hunt is such an important project for the world. So this podcast episode would be all about product and tech and the entrepreneurial side. But if you're not an entrepreneur, but then also this episode would motivate and give you some amount of knowledge which you can apply in your daily life. So the second segment is how he got into tech. When asked this, Ryan said that from the early stage of his life, he was playing with Xboxes and gumball machines, and his father always encouraged him to do so. And he was doing something innovative there with gumball machines. So modifying the gumbox machine and the Xboxes were his initial step which he got into the tech field. The second question Ranveer asked Ryan is things he learned from video games. Everyone in between us must tried video games once in their life, but we don't think that these video games can teach us a lot of things. The points Ryan and Ranveer mentioned totally shook me up. Ranveer shares that video games actually helped him to pick up new fonts for his thumbnail videos. He says that the video games he played somehow trained his subconscious and gave him ideas for the new fonts in the thumbnail. Giving this reference only, he asked Ryan about his learning. Ryan says he had played a lot of video games in his young and childhood stages, and he enjoyed video games a lot. And he even feels that he is into this tech side due to video games only. He says that the people who make video games are really a smart person. As Ryan is a product designer, he would know how a product is made, and video game is one of the smartest things to make. Video games really improve our some of the soft skills like speaking, cooperating, and our reflexes. But they say that if you are going to be in some creative profession in future, then video games are really to help you. Then Ranveer asked to give Indian youth a broader perception of entrepreneurial side. On this, Ryan said that taking your initial step and doing something is really important. He says that if he have not played with the gumball machine in his childhood, maybe he would not have landed there. So this is an important message for everyone. After this, Ryan shares his work at Product Hunt and how Product Hunt was built. He says that Product Hunt was just a casual project and not a planned big project. But he created the email list casually for his friends and family members to discuss about products. But he later thought that it can go globally, and which it did. And even after 7 years, Product Hunt is so important for the world. Then Ranveer refers to video games again and says that as a product designer, you must make the app or the game addictive. There always should be little bit of addiction or the person would not return to the game or the app. On this, Ryan said, every app doesn't need addiction. Like an app which would help you to cycling. That app doesn't need to be addictive. Or when you lose the app, you would not cycle. So instead of benefiting the user, you are only looking for your benefit, which is really wrong. And I agree with this point totally. Then Ranveer mindfully asked Ryan to explain product managing and product making. And on this, Ryan explains the hook model. So what is the hook model first of all? For this, Ryan took example of Twitter. Hook model can be break down into 4 steps, which are trigger, action, reward, and response. And all of these 4 create a loop, which help in running most of the app like Instagram and Twitter as well. So what does this hook model actually means? Let's take a look. So first of all, trigger. A trigger is a notification or a message that takes you to the app. It is an external push for you to take it to the app. They say that an app which completely relies on its external push is not gonna work in long time. The second step, action. Action is when you read the message or the tweet you got on Twitter. So that is your action. Then comes the reward. Reward is what you get from that tweet and that little dopamine kick. And then comes the response, and you comment or like the tweet, which again send a notification to someone else, and then he enters and start a new loop, and the loop goes on. So this is the hook model in product managing. I am mentioning product manager from such a long time. They also talk what is actually the job of product manager. And Ryan says that a product manager is one who works with all the team and really sees what is built in and help them all to improve the product. And Ranveer asked Ryan about what world think of Indian entrepreneurial side. On this, Ryan said that we all are investing in more and more Indian companies with time. There are more and more unicorns coming up from India, and he hopes that more unicorns like this would come up from India. And Ranveer asked the most interesting question of the podcast: what India can learn from America and what America can learn from India on the entrepreneur basis. Ryan answered India could learn execution in their products. All the Indian products could little bit better. I mean, not all the, but some of the. And what America can learn from India is American entrepreneur should actually learn what is Indian market and how it works and the values that are embedded in India. Then they begin with the Twitterverse, and there he really answers on their personal preferences. So I think you should look to the Twitterverse segment in their podcast only. Then they talk about content creation. Ryan says content creation is one of the most important job forever. And as well he says it is not an easy job. The person who is creating content is not really need to be creative. He mentions the difference between the audience and the community. He says that one need to build the community for unlimited content. If the people are in community, then people will talk with each other and produce content with their conversation itself. But if you have the audience, then you will have to prepare content daily or as per the need. So this is the difference between audience and community, and both are good at their own places. And Ranveer's smartest question of the day was, what would be the Ryan's message if he was dying in an hour? And Ryan gave a very good message. He said, encourage whoever is taking the first step. Encourage all the new businesses, new product ideas, and all the first comers, because they will change the world. This was one of the smartest podcast episode I heard recently. If you want me to break down any of your favorite episode, then do tell me through voice messages or social media apps. The link is in the description. Also follow us for more interesting episode tomorrow. So that's it for today. I will take your leave. But do leave a feedback or the recommendation for sure. So bye, enjoy your day and peace out. Disclaimer: this podcast is based on my views and opinions. I don't mean to hurt anyone's sentiment or disrespect any group or individual.